On-pack labeling, I think they are fantastic for being able to give us guidance. However, they can be confusing. I don't mind whether that's buying a washing machine or indeed buying food. We often use the traffic light system. And the traffic light system works because we all, and this isn't all, possibly not, is we all recognise what red, amber, green is. The problem with that is when I hesitate, some people are colourblind. And some parts of the world, China for example, might not see red as danger, but actually somewhat of a lucky colour. So we have to be careful how we use colouring in our labelling solution. But here in the UK and arguably across Europe and North America, red, amber, green is a very good colour scheme. However, the brands themselves don't want red on their packs typically, because that implies warning. So maybe there's another colour that needs to be introduced. Maybe it's actually black and amber and green. But then we've got to be able to define what do we mean by these values. When we buy food in the supermarkets, we often get nutritional information regarding salt, for example. And the thing is, you need a decent unit of measure so that it's meaningful for consumers. And for all of that information, do we really know that that communicates in a meaningful way which is influencing behaviour? And I think to some of the community this is working, to others I'm afraid I'm not sure that it is. So third-party authentication. Simply put, would you allow your children to mark their homework at school? It usually draws a wry smile. Why would you therefore expect business to report their own performance? There are too many examples on Netflix and the BBC which have shown companies, and I'm not suggesting that they have deliberately told a falsehood, but in fact, because of the scope of the area they're discussing, what does appear to be green in a narrow definition is in fact otherwise. And so a third party that's looking at this in a consistent way, in a standard way, no matter what you're doing with packaging, I think starts to bring gravitas to the values and meaning for the decisions that are being made. I would also cover off when communicating this, whether this is business to business or whether indeed it is to the consumer, business to consumer. There will be some consumers and businesses who will want more data and those who will want less. I think for simplicity's sake, colour coding is the way forward, but it needs to be backed up with a QR code. A QR code that enables you to go onto the brand's, for example, website, and you can then see the granular detail and how that has been accurately translated into a value to inspire confidence and trust, both with the brand and with the retailer that's handling that product. Methodology, the approach of measuring the scores, has to be a standard, and that standard needs to be developed. Today, there is no ISO standard for the whole methodology for all industry to follow. There is a description, and all you need to be able to do is to define the scope and the boundaries that you're working to. But if two companies are using different scopes and different boundaries, or they're different usage, so the carbon emissions should be over a global warming potential of 100 years. What if they've used a different number? I think there needs to be regulation. I think there needs to be legislation to insist that all packaging is measured in the same way. And I'd like to think that this would not just be across the UK, but this indeed would be across the world, such that we are getting a fair and appropriate measure. I'm not against global trade or local trade. I'd like to do what's right for us as a humankind.